What's up, friends? Big Dub with ya in a thing that I haven't done in a long time and I'm not very good at, but I wanted to do a quick toy review for you all of these bad boys right here, the Ramen Toy 80's Commander. Now, I certainly don't do toy reviews. As you watch, I do vlogs, more lifestyle vlogs that do feature my collection and toys and that type of thing. But I wanted to do these because I got these in hand and I think they look great. And I know a lot of people have questions about them and a lot of people just hadn't seen them. So I thought I'd show them off for everybody. I will have more on these in my upcoming episode of Dub Life in the next couple weeks. But I want to get this up quickly and thank the folks at Ramen Toy for producing a product and send these to me. I paid for these the same way everybody else did. But I think it's important to note that they've done good work. And we'll see how good when we open them up. One thing specifically, I paid for these during the early bird window just before the end of April, right at the end of April. And I received these right at the end of November. I received these yesterday, the last day of November. So I don't know how far along they were in the process when they were soliciting kind of it was basically crowdfunding. It was a prepay. And they must have already been into some level of modeling and tooling. I'm not sure. But 7 months later, I have these in hand. And this is at a time when I've got pre-orders that are approaching 2 years with much larger companies. And also at a time where everyone tells us that factory logistics are troubling, shipping logistics are troubling. We hear about containers being stuck in ports for weeks and weeks at a time. Yet somehow, 7 months beginning to end, I have this product. And I paid for shipping on these like less than 10 days ago, and they're already in my hand. So they didn't sit on a shipping container for 90 days because they shipped from international. So I just want to give an initial hats off to Ramen Toy because that's wonderful. And it seems like a lot of the larger companies are telling us that the reason for the delays are all these things, which I don't necessarily doubt. I also work in business. I understand what's going on in the global economy and the global supply chain. But they were able to navigate it, so hats off to Ramen Toy. So I'm going to try to do my best Bug, the Amazing impersonation. I'm not very good at reviews, but I want to show these off. So let's get them open. Actually, let's look at the packaging first. Give them a little squeeze, you know. Start with the packaging using the Air Force Commander as the one we will look at. And of course, I'll just mention this once. These are from Ramen Toy. They are the 80's Commander. Certainly, we all understand, inspired by the Centurions and a modern take on that. And what is, I believe, a quote-unquote true 1/12 scale. Not completely sure what the size will end up being, but I think they're right at 6 inches. So they may be slightly smaller than some of your other things that tend to scale a little differently or have some irregularities within the scale. But we'll do some comparisons later. I also must mention these arrived wonderfully packaged. Good shipper box, no damage on the shipper box. Then they had foam inserts. They were very secure. Nothing was loose, moving around, and also had plastic protecting the boxes. So if you were a in-box collector, I think you'd be especially happy with those. You see there really nice window packaging. You can see the figure, you can see the accessories. I do have a sticker on mine that lists the early bird incentive or the early bird sticker. I don't know if there's anything special inside, but the early bird offer sticker inside is what it says. I think the packaging looks great. It's a similar packaging to what you get kind of from a Mayfex or even a Revoltech, with some figure art on the front of it, but you can see the picture. I think it's a little nicer than the SH Figure Arts packaging. It's certainly nicer than our current American domestic packaging. So I think they did a really good job on the front. There's the left side of the packaging. There's the right side of the packaging and the back of the packaging. That does have a bio card that reads, Roger Statham, a fighter pilot veteran, dons the Sentinel Industries Cena, so John Cena, combination exosystem by neural activation exosuit and combines with the Sentinel System Cloudburst unit. A swing-wing jetpack comprising dual thrust vectoring. and a lot of other things you can read there. So they even have their own little story about the suits. And so there you go. And the other two are very similar. The Armored Commander. In fact, let me just slide him over here and show you. Land Assault Expert. There's the Armored Commander packaging. Show you his back. His bio. You can pause it if you want to read it. And the Naval Commander packaging. There you see him. Of course, we're going to take a much closer look at these, but so you can see the packaging and see that if you are an inbox collector, these guys are nice. They're nice. Just real quick of the inset, you can see it's not a clamshell necessarily. I guess it kind of is, but it has no hinge. Just plastic insert with all the pieces on display. It doesn't look like there's any tape or tabs or anything like that, which I certainly appreciate. Make it easy to unbox. But there's a look at the inside of the box. There you have the Air Force Commander out of his package and all the stuff he comes with. And he does have this early bird sticker. I think that's only available to the early bird backers, which is actually quite a nice sticker. Quite a nice sticker. So that's cool. But there is that. And you see he comes with basically his Centurion-based armor suit that beams down and attaches to him. He has the unmasked head on, and I know a lot of folks don't love the head sculpt, don't think it looks like the cartoon enough. Certainly this is, I don't know that there's rights issues with those likenesses of the people, but it's certainly a thing they got to be careful with, and I think it looks fine. Everybody's going to display it with that helmeted head on. It has kind of sea grip hands, like those, and then it has the more like kind of open hands and then fists. And I think all of his armor will be able to go on him. Let's get a tape measure and see how tall he is. There we go. Actually, he's about 6.5 inches tall. Maybe it would be slightly taller when the helmet is on. So it's actually a good height. A good height. Let me bring him slightly closer so that you can look at the head sculpt, which I know a lot of people aren't going to necessarily love, but I think it looks fine. All right, let's check some articulation. Certainly articulation, not an area that I'm going to be an expert showing you, but I will show you just the best I can. His head fully turns around. It doesn't go down much because of the collar piece, but it does go a pretty good range up. So if he is flying, and it swivels around, it's got decent articulation. See if I don't want to pop it off right now. He does have these shoulder pads on his arms. You can see. Looks like he can probably get into the that arm. So you can see there's your joint, whatever joint that is, a ball joint. Let's see. I keep popping that thing out, and that's certainly me. That is not the quality. It does have a double jointed elbow. Yep, double jointed elbow. So you get it pretty good in there. I stink of this. Oh, a full swivel there at the waist. Double jointed knee, yes. Can't do the robo butt kick. And again, like these armor pieces kind of prevent it. Let's see. You can almost kick straight out. Again, the crotch piece getting in the way a little bit. Let's see. That's probably the extent of what I can do. There is not an ab crunch at all. But is there a rotation over there? No. So the only torso rotation is at the waist. No ab crunch, but with all these holes for the weapons, I'm not sure how realistic that would be anyway, because you're going to have him wearing all of that equipment. So I think your articulation is fine. It's probably a little bit less than normal for an import figure, but for somebody that's so heavily armored, so to speak, I'm not sure that you could get much better than that. Let me open up the other guys and show you their weapon systems. There is the Naval Commander. I think that green actually looks really good, the green and the orange. I'm excited to get them all armored up. See, he has his kind of scuba backpack and missile, kind of the motors that go on his legs. He's got fin, lasers, helmeted head. Same hands, heads, and helmet, all in the same, just different weapon set. So that is the naval commander. And then here we have the armor commander, the land assault expert. Again, big old bazooka launcher, same hands and helmets, gun, backpack, all similar, different head sculpts on each of these guys. So let's put the three of them together, and then we'll do some comparisons before we put all their armor on, so you can just see them kind of like for like with other figures. There they are all together, all three 80s commanders from Ramen Toy. I really like, you can see the different head sculpts and colors. I think the colors really pop. Good dark wash paint, I think, on all of them, especially on the green and the yellow one, bringing out the colors. I'm really pleased with these. I think they look really, really nice. They could stand to be slightly larger, but that's because other things are slightly larger, not because of what this company's done, right? Every company does their own scale, and I know a lot of people say, well, it should be the same scale as Marvel Legends. Well, if you're not Hasbro, why? You know, it's not necessarily the same thing. So there they all are, side by side. Now let's do some size comparisons, and then we'll get to the fun part and get them armored up. There is the Air Force Commander, the aerial combat expert. Compared to a lot of 80s things is what we're going to compare this to, because that's the shelf they're going to live, and that's primarily the things I collect, but modern 80s, not vintage. So on the left, you have the NECA, I think that's called the Color Styles Guide, the more neon green Leonardo, the toon version. We're going to compare them to cartoon versions of things primarily, since that's kind of where they fall in line, not the movie versions or otherwise. And then on the right is the Super 7 Leonardo, original toy-based, and you can see he's actually slightly taller than both of those. Of course, those are turtles. They're made to be a little bit smaller, but I think that's a decent size comparison. If you have either the NECA turtles or the Super 7 turtles, you'll have an idea where those fall. Now to some figures he is certainly not taller than. On the right is the Super 7 Masters of the Universe Ultimates or Classics or whatever that line was called. Skeletor, kind of the Filmation style, I think. Then on the left is the Mattel Masterverse Revelations Skelegod, which obviously Skelegod is a much bigger figure. That's, you know, well, I don't want to spoil that if you haven't seen the television show on Netflix yet, but he's going to be bigger than most figures. And I don't have another Masterverse figure on hand open to compare him to, like a He-Man or somebody standard, but that should give you an idea, because the Skelegod's certainly the biggest figure in that line, and so he's a good bit smaller than both of those. Keeping in that same vein, on the left we've got the Toxie from the Super 7 Toxic Crusaders line, and on the right the Thundercats Panthro from Super 7, both of which are taller than him. Again, on a lot of these 80s creatures type things, it's should they be bigger or not? Who knows? Who knows what the scale is of a human panther nunchuck guy? Who knows? But let's move on to some things that we may understand a little more clearly. But those are the areas that I'm going to display them with, so I wanted to show you those first. So for some more familiar comparisons for people, on the right is the G.I. Joe Classified Series Red Ninja. On the left is the Marvel Legends Red Ninja Hand Ninja. You can see the Legends Ninja is a good bit taller than both of these, but the G.I. Joe, which I think is a more appropriate thing for Centurions to scale with from the 80s, they're right about the same height, so I think they work, because even though he is armored up, I guess he does have probably a little bit of lift in the platform. A similar size is good. That Marvel Legends Red Ninja is quite big, actually. I don't realize how big it is. I don't know what mold that's on. But there's a comparison. Let's do one more G.I. Joe and Hasbro comparison. Final comparison, on the right, we have the G.I. Joe Classified Series Cobra Infantry, who is slightly taller, interestingly enough. And on the left is the Marvel Legends Hydra Soldier, Hydra Trooper, Hydra Agent, whichever one. That's the smaller one of the two-pack, not the big one. And I think those are all fine. Interesting that the infantry is taller. It's going to be a good bit taller than that Red Ninja, I would think, too. That's not the classified Target exclusive Cobra Island Trooper. That's the regular release Cobra Infantry. But I think they scale fine with whatever you want to do, especially once you get all the armor pieces on, the helmets, and whatnot. So let's do that. Let's armor them up, look at the three of them together with their armor. I want to show you this as I was helmeting them up. the head does separate off of the helmeted head into two pieces, similar like you would see with import figures and such on weapons. And then there's the head sculpt underneath, just kind of a plain bald head, which I'll tell you what, that could be a nice head for customizers. But just want to show you that. Just real quick, there they are with their helmeted heads, and I just think that looks fantastic. I don't know who's going to display them with the unmasked heads anyway, but the helmeted heads look great. And nice things, like each of the heads has a corresponding color peg to the bodies. So that way, if you forget who's who, easy to know that the yellow goes to the yellow and so forth. Now, full armor time. There you have them all armored up, and I just think that looks absolutely fantastic. I think it looks fantastic. They're so much fun. Again, super playability. All the different little peg holes you see, all the weapons can plug in however you want to plug them in. I kind of put them in a pretty normal configuration. I did a little bit of variance. They're just really, really fun. They're really fun. I think they're going to look great on the shelf. Lots of playability. And again, that's why some of the articulation is going to be limited, because all those peg holes have to be solid to be able to hold the weapons, and if you make an ab crunch, they're not going to work. It's just simply not going to work. So I think it looks great. Let me turn them around and show you the backside as well. Oh, backside. There's the backside. I see I've got the Air Force. Got them all a little bit of lean on. They certainly get heavy, back heavy with all the weapons on the back, so you have to adjust. But see all the different equipment, and you can interchange it, move it all over the place. I think that's excellent. So what I'd like to do now, I'm going to show you where I'm going to display these guys on my 80s shelf, show you a little bit of the collection, give you my final thoughts, and then we'll end. I'll try to take some pictures. There you see them up here kind of on my 80s tribute shelf, which is predominantly Super 7 stuff, basically all. Except for now the Ramen Toy 80s Commander, and I will have some more Masterverse figures there. Step back a little bit, show you. That's where all my NECA Turtle stuff is. I got some of the reissue Turtle stuff down there. I got my G.I. Joe shelf over here. I'm wrestling and some of my other things. If you watch my channel, you've seen, but I think they're going to look great there. I'll certainly get them posed up. Maybe get some flight stands, that type of thing. But that's where they're going to live. So to wrap up here, I really, really like these guys. I think Ramen Toy did an excellent job. Again, super impressed with just their business. They got it out quickly. I know a lot of people were wondering if it was legitimate, accused them of trying to rip people off. We've kind of entered this place in the toy market where a lot of companies want you to pay up front. They want to crowdfund. We see HasLab right now and all of the things around that. And it's, should a $1 billion company have to do that? That's for debate. But for really small startup companies, this is the way it has to work, right? Any company, any business that wants to start up has to get investor money from somewhere. And those investors are putting money in and don't necessarily know they're going to get anything out. They are taking a risk. And at this stage, the upside was you got these at like a 20 or 30% discount. I've seen Ramen Toy say in the future they're going to make more weapon sets for these that they're going to make available to early bird backers, at least first. I don't know if that'll be always. This is the same model that the Four Horsemen did with Mythic Legions, right? It started off on Kickstarter, and it went from there. And I think maybe because it wasn't on Kickstarter, a platform like that, that's what gave some folks some pause. But those platforms also charge fees and take money away from the business. And I think what they did is fine. And I supported it. I didn't feel any guilt or any risk. And honestly, it's not enough money to if it was thousands of dollars, I wouldn't have done it. But for the price point these were, I felt it was a risk I was willing to take, even if it went the other direction. And it didn't. Great products came in. So super happy with Ramen Toy. I hope they're watching this. Guys, I think you did a really good job. And I think the way you handled social media and you kept posting updates over and over again, all the production photos, live streams, that was all great. Kept giving me confidence. I think you did a wonderful job. So let's end things out. I'm going to try to take some pretty cool pictures of these guys the best I can. I'm not great at it, but I'm going to try to take some, give you some more close-ups on the details and such, especially the head sculpts and that kind of thing. And maybe you'll enjoy that. So in the meantime, if you haven't checked out the rest of my channel, every Sunday at noon Eastern, we do Dub Life, which is usually hour-plus long vlogs, and we get into silliness. And we look at toys, and we do all kind of other stuff. So if you're interested, if not, Go check out Ramen Toy. I'll have them tagged on Instagram. I'll try to put their Instagram tag and their Facebook tag in the comments of this video or in the description below. Check them out. I think they still have some available, or at least you can inquire if they do. Because I would definitely recommend these guys if you're an 80s fan. And I think they look really good. So anyway, until next time, squeeze it.